Hi everyone, my name's Will and I am the Paint Beast, and in this video I'm going to show you how to paint bolt guns. Hello, so I want to show you how I paint bolt guns. Often I don't enjoy painting bolt guns, and I think that I found a way that makes it enjoyable for me, and it makes it slightly faster when it's a batch of 5 or 10 miniatures, and it just means that you can enjoy painting your weapons rather than sort of dreading that part of it, which I know some people do because I've talked about it. So what we're going to need for this, well, so a miniature. So this is sort of a Blood Angels test miniature I was painting for a commission. We need the if you use a painting handle, that's also beneficial. 2 brushes. I've got an old brush, signified by the fact I've taken a chunk out of that. That's just for my washes and stuff. A new brush, so just giving a bit more precision. Whichever brush brand you use will do. Sort of ones that go to a nice point. I prefer Raphael Kalinsky Sable size 0. As always, I've got my 2 pots of paint, one to wash most of the pigment off, one to rinse, some paper towel or some kitchen roll depending on where you're from, and a wet palette. And then the colours we're going to use are Lead Belcher, Mechanica Standard Grey, Null Oil, which is the shade, Stormhost Silver, Rust Grey, Blue Horror, and Lemayan Medium. Now, within this there will be some drying time while the washes dry, or the wash dries. Sorry, the shade. Wash is old terminology. Well, the shade dries, so this video will pause just because I need to wait for that to dry, and I don't want to obviously waste your time watching this video. And I'll cut back to it. But if you're doing this in a batch of 5 or 10, by the time you get to the last miniature, the first one will have dried. That's the key to batch painting, and that's the key to speed while batch painting. But for this one, we'll just have to be a bit patient. So the first step here, just going to get some water on our brush and just some Lead Belcher onto the palette. So we're going to shake it up, and as always, shake your paints really well. And we're going to just pop some of that on the palette. No need to thin this one down. There's enough water in the brush to add some liquid. All we are going to do though is just clean the brush, and don't worry too much about the silver pigment. It's not going to affect this this particular paint scheme on the bolt gun. But if you are using a lot of silver and a lot of colour next to each other a lot, just have maybe three pots of water, one specifically for metallics and then the other 2 for regular acrylic paint. So I'm just going to take our paint, and we're just going to, if this stays in focus, just paint any of the areas that we want to be metallic, just to get that base coat on there. And you don't have to be too precise with this if you haven't already sprayed your miniature in Lead Belcher, which I sometimes do just to sort of forgo these painting steps. And then we're going to go here, just on the top. I might just do the front of this just because this is for example purposes, just to make this a little bit quicker. I'd quite like to start doing some more sort of shorter format videos that aren't just shorts, YouTube shorts. It's like a 7-minute tutorial, but I haven't got there yet. I haven't drilled the barrel on this either. I usually do. And where else do we want to be silver? Just in here. And if you hit the armor of the miniature, that's okay. You can just go over that again later on. And then we're going to put some. So I'm just drying the brush a little bit more here with the pigment on, just because I don't want to go onto this flat area too much. So I'm just going to drag this across the top here. That will just pick out those key details of that sort of site. Do the same there. I've already messed up a little bit here, but that's okay because the next step will alleviate that. Just going to pop some in there. There we go. I think that's all of the bits that I want to be painted silver, or do I want the grip to be painted silver? I want the grip to be painted silver as well. That's something we don't need to deal with the other acrylic colours. So we're just going to do this whole bottom section silver too. And the definition of this particular bolt gun has been compromised because I've been using this as sort of like a test miniature for a lot of things. So some of the detail just isn't there. That's fine. We can deal with that. This really is just so that I can show you the colours that I've chosen for the actual body, the sort of non-metallic part of the body of the bolt gun. So I think it really helps speed up painting your bolt guns and stuff, and other weapons in the 40,000 Warhammer 40,000 universe, and other weapons in other games, I'd imagine. Right, that's done. I just need to leave that to dry for just a few minutes before I put the shade on. No, I don't, because I actually need to add some Mechanica Standard Grey first. So let's put some of that on the palette. Again, we're just going to use this straight out of the pot with the water that's been left on by me cleaning the brush last. And what we're going to do is we're just going to now apply this to the areas that are not silver. This will all come together. It doesn't matter if you go over the edges a little bit at this step, because the next step, which is adding the washes, should sort that out for you. And some details here I know I want to paint silver, like this little, I'm not sure what you'd call it on a gun, but there's like a raised bit here where the expended bolt comes out. I'm not sure what to call that. So if you know, pop that in the comments. So this is Mechanica Standard Grey, just in the areas where I didn't paint the lead belcher. I might need to go over that with the second coat, just in a minute, while it dry, once it's dry. So I'll do that, and then I'll cut back and we'll do the shade. Okay, that's dry now. So we are now going to take our Null Oil shade, or shade Null Oil. I'm going to shake that up. You've got to be very careful, because you can see there that sort of white streak. That's pigment. You want all of that to be absorbed into the paint before you move on to this next step. We're going to do 2 layers of this. And again, I'll cut between the 2 drying times because you don't need to see that. So what we're going to do, just take it straight from the pot. Not going to worry about thinning it down. Just going to take a tiny bit off of our brush. We're just going to go all over with that. And we're going to do this twice around. Just because this Null Shade Oil, or whatever it's called, it used to be just called Null Oil back in the day. It's not strong, and it doesn't work. I think it doesn't work as well as the old style one. So we're going to put two layers on this, just to get that shading in there. You can see already, like, some of the mistakes that I've made where I'd gone over the edges a bit on the grey. I've sort of blended now in quite a lot better. And to make, you know, to sort of rectify those mistakes even more. Don't know what it is, I can't talk today. To rectify those mistakes even more, we'll just go over that with the highlight shade, highlight silver as well, and that'll be sorted. So that is one layer of this shade, and as you can see, it's not really done anything, which I'm quite disappointed about. So I'll cut back and I'll put the other shade layer on, and then I'll cut back. Okay, so that's the drying done, and as you can see, the whole thing is a lot darker. So what we're going to do, well, the first thing we're going to do from here is take our Stormhost silver, so that's the brightest silver that I like to use, shake it up, and what we're going to do is we're just going to put a little bit on the palette using our older brush, because this has got the frayed edges. I'm not going to put any water in there, but what we are going to do is we're going to just brush most of it off the brush, as if it's a dry brush, but it's not. This is called overbrushing. And then what we're going to do, if I can show you correctly here, and I'll try and do it on the barrel. We're just going to take it, we're just going to take the brush from the top to the bottom. We're just going to let it catch everything that's on top. For here, we're going to go along the side. So I'm doing this without my magnifying lamp, so it's a bit It's more difficult for me to do today. And then here, just from the top. We're not going to go back, we're not stroking back up the other way. We are just going down from the top. Here, just running along the sides if it's an edge highlight. It doesn't matter if we catch this bit because we're going to go over that in a bit with another colour. And here. And this is just, you know, we're not being too neat. We're not trying to do a competition worthy miniature here. We're just trying to get through the batch of 10 that we've got. And if we're not happy with it, we can introduce some of the Null Oil again. So for instance, on this magazine type thing up here, I'll probably put some more Null Oil because I've gone into the recesses a bit. But that's pretty much the silver done on that now. Or at least what I consider the silver to be. And we just need to do it on the other side as well. So it's like, it's an overbrush really, like a dry brush. It wasn't very neat, but it was very quick. That's, you know, getting these guys onto the table and fighting for the Emperor. What we can also do is put some other colour in here to symbolise the sort of bronze or brass shell casing, but we're not going to do that for this one. Now what do we do with the sort of black carapace of this? Well, we're going to use a combination of blues, which might be a little bit odd, but bear with me. It just gives it a sort of slightly different colour tone, because I always find highlighting this up with grey or just greys is a bit bland really. So yeah, so we're going to take some rust grey and we're going to mix it with some water and some medium. I'm going to shake the pot up, put some water on our brush, and then put that on the wet palette. So there should be enough water in that from our brush. I'm going to clean our brush. I'm going to get the lame and medium. Open that up. And then take one scoop, so one full brush, put it on there. Now that's made it quite thin. We want this quite thin because we want to do a glaze essentially here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a brush full of that and we're going to wipe most of it off there. We're going to test it on our thumb. I want it to be really, really quite watery, or at least almost completely transparent, which it is. And then what we're going to do, and this might not work the first time, I might have to adjust the paint a little bit. But we are going to, if I can get this to focus, we're going to go from the bottom of this section up to the top really gently. In fact, I'm going to switch brushes. Sorry, this isn't good enough. This is now too frayed for me to do this. I'm going to go to my nice brush with a nice tip. It's got a good point to it. So we've got our paint. We're going to load the paint up with the brush up with paint. Wipe most of it off. Check the paint on our thumb. Now, because this brush was not wet before I put it in the paint, I'm going to need to make sure there's some extra moisture in there. Get some more of that on the brush. Wipe the excess away. Go to my thumb. Yep, that's pretty good. That's flowing the way I want it to. We're going to go to the bolt gun. We're going to go from the bottom to the top. And we're just going to leave most of the pigment at the top. And you can imagine just doing this motion, right? On what, 5-10 Space Marines once they're all at this stage. Just really quick, like it's going to take less than a minute just for me to do that. And what this does, this isn't perfect, right? This isn't a perfect layer. It has introduced loads and loads of texture to the barrel, but we can make that like almost like battle damage, right? If we then go over it again like that with our brush. What this has also done has filled in this line here between the grip and the carapace, and I'll show you how to fix that in a second. But for now, that's exactly what I want, right? I want that colour on that bolt gun, sort of slight gradient from the bottom to the top. Now I'm going to get my highlight colour, which is Blue Horror. I'm going to shake it up. I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to make sure my brush has some water in it, but not too much. I'm going to take the Blue Horror from the pot. I did shake this up previously, so don't worry if it looks like I didn't. Put that on there. Only a little bit. Actually, I'm going to put some more on there. That's a lie. Not a little bit. A lot of bit. I'm going to get some medium, just a tiny bit. Not a full brush this time, just the sort of very end. and then mix that in. This time I'm not going to clean the brush, I'm just going to wipe away, put it back, wipe away the excess. I'm going to check this on my nail of my thumb this time. Yep, cool. That's kind of doing what I want it to do. This is very light, and you can go over this as many times as you feel comfortable. Once sometimes is enough, twice is always better. You'll see that I'll go over it a few times. So I'm just going to edge highlight this. So this is taking the edge of the brush. So I'm not trying to draw the line downwards like that. I'm laying it flat and I'm drawing it across the bolt gun. Just the tip. There, like that. There's a bit of debris on the that's what that little white chunk is. Wipe that off. There you go. Now we're going to turn the miniature, and we're going to go up on this one. But there's not enough paint on my brush now because it's almost fully transparent. So we're going to go back, clean our brush, put more paint on it, and that paint's almost run out actually, so I might need to do some more. I'm going to put a lot on there this time. This is I'm so bad at the moment at measuring my paint. Right, let's do that. Now I can already tell just by the look of it on the palette that that's too thick. So I'm going to want to put another brush full of water in there. Just really mix it in. I'm going to wash the brush this time. Make sure it's completely dry because there's loads of liquid in this now. And I'm going to get the brush full of paint up to sort of the 3/4 mark. Wipe the paint away, check it on my thumb. Yep, that's good. And then we're going to carry on painting this. It's probably really grainy now because I've zoomed in really far. And unfortunately on bolt guns there is a point where you have to draw a line, and it is here. You don't have to do that. You can just literally use this part up here as the only highlight. I like to try and do the sort of heavy metal thing and highlight all the edges. You don't have to. Just one highlight at the top is enough usually. And you know what? I think I might just leave that there. Now an extra thing that we can do to make that stand out a bit more is on the corners. We can take pure blue horror without any water or anything like that. We're just going to put that on the palette. Just leave it on our brush like that. And we're going to go for the corners. We're just going to put a bright dot on the corners. Just there, just to make it kind of look a little bit as if the light is catching it. There we go. Right, it all looks a bit messy in here. So how should I rectify that? Well, we're going to take some black paint. I'm going to do something which was originally called dark lining or black lining. I'm not sure if it has a different term nowadays. So we are going to take some, so I know it's called Abaddon black, whereas where I come from you'd call it Abaddon. That's Abaddon black, that is. I'm going to thin it down slightly, not to a wash, but just to a nice sort of fluid paint. And then we're going to just, so this should be a little bit like a cross between a wash and a paint, but it's not at the moment. That's just acting like a paint. We need to put more water in that. I'm not going to put any medium in this time because I don't need to worry about how transparent the paint is. I want it to be dark. Because if you put medium in it, it thins the paint and the consistency. No, sorry, that's wrong. If you put medium in it, it thins the colour of the paint, but not the consistency. And I want both in this case, which is why I'm only using water. If that makes sense. I'll do another video on that one day. I'm really trying to get the right consistency here because I want it to really flow into that gap. Right. And now what I'm going to do, as sort of dark lining or black lining suggests, I'm just going to go into all of the lines where I might have accidentally painted into and just draw a line. This might sound hard, but with a bit of practice this becomes sort of easy and second nature. That just helps define the miniature a little bit. This one is hard to do on this miniature because, as I said earlier in the video, I have used this miniature a lot for testing, so all of the different details are a bit gummed up. But I think you hopefully understand the purpose. So that looks a lot better now. You can actually see the difference between the grip and the sort of body area of the gun. I hope that helps. That's how I paint my bolt guns. Give me some feedback in the comments below. I'll probably do a tutorial on Patreon about this specific topic. So if you are a patron, go over there and have a look at that. I can't remember which tier off the top of my head is the one that receives PDFs, but everybody gets something per month. Yeah, and I'll be really interested to hear what you think of this method of bolt gun painting, and do all those good things like, comment, and subscribe. And I've been told to tell people to click the notification bell icon, so you get notified when I put new videos up, because there's lots more coming in the future. And if you are a patron as well, you get a say in what comes next, so that's always a benefit. And what I'll do is I'm going to go away and I'm going to finish this guy off completely, and I'll do a little miniature showcase in a second. So enjoy, and happy painting. I hope you enjoyed that. That was how I've been painting weapons like bolt guns recently. I understand it's not hugely like display winning, display miniature quality or competition winning, but this will get your miniatures on the table, and it'll get on them on the table. I can't speak today. It will get them on the table looking good. So if you enjoyed that, and this is a slightly shorter video, so if you appreciate that, then please put that in the comments. I'd like to know, and like and subscribe as always, and yeah, check out my Patreon as well. I hope you enjoyed. Here's the Patrons. I'll see you next time.